And for more insight, we are joined by Border Patrol Union President Paul Perez. I really appreciate you taking the time tonight. Thank you.
Appreciate coming on.
Okay, so we have heard these reports. I do want to start here. Texas National Guardsmen being shot at from across the border from the Mexico side. And then meanwhile, we've been reporting on a domestic plot. Members of an American militia planning to travel down to the border in order to kill both migrants crossing illegally and American Border Patrol agents. How concerned are you for Border Patrol safety and what needs to be done?
Well, that's a very dangerous job. The cartels, they don't care about anything but profits. They don't care about the migrants. They don't care about the Border Patrol agents. But I can tell you what, under President Trump and the strong people that he's going to put in charge of the department, they will care. They will absolutely care, because what they care about more than anything else is money, and they don't want to do anything that's going to be bad for business for them. So it's unfortunate that this administration is allowing them free reign of the southern border, but that's going to end once Donald Trump takes office.
Okay, I appreciate that perspective. Any doubt in your mind that we will see a significant surge ahead of January?
It's very likely, because right now, with this administration's policies, anybody can come across the border and be released. And so right now, that's what they want to do, because of the fact that when Donald Trump takes office, the border's going to be secure, and they're going to stop coming across. So right now is the time for them to do it. What we've also seen, though, is there are a lot of people in the migrant caravans that are turning back, because they know once they get up here, there's going to be the mass deportations, and they don't want to get caught up in that. So they'd rather just go back on their own terms right now.
You know, the Border Patrol Union did endorse Donald Trump for president. What would you tell him is priority number one at the border? And please be specific as possible.
Yeah, what we have told him, number one, is putting his policies in place, turning off the magnet, which is catch and release. And the way you do that is you implement Remain in Mexico. That would allow the asylum system to actually work, where you get rid of those who are creating fraudulent claims for asylum and then being released. So if he reinstitutes Remain in Mexico, ends catch and release, those are the policies that are going to help us do the job to secure the border once and for all. He's going to take on the cartels as well. He's made no secret about wanting to do that, and we believe that he will actually do that, put the cartels out of business, end the migrant crisis and the fentanyl crisis and the drug crisis. Migrant crime will cease to exist under President Trump.
I'm glad that you bring up the cartels. Just last night, I spoke with former acting DHS Secretary Chad Wolf, who is on the short list to become the new head of DHS under Trump. Let's listen together. This is what he said about Mexican cartels.
The cartel should be public enemy number one for this country. There is no other organization or group of individuals that are killing Americans as the cartels are doing, as they smuggle and traffic deadly fentanyl into the United States.
Do you agree with his assessment? And in your opinion, should the U.S. send troops into Mexico to combat the cartels?
So that's a decision that's going to be made by the president, you know, in line with the Department of Justice, Department of State, and you know, those people that are in his cabinet. But I do support the president going after the cartels, because they are the number one threat to this country from Mexico, and we do need to stop them. We do believe he will do that, and I do support that, absolutely.
Yeah, I hear that broad support, and I appreciate it. I think very few people have the breadth of knowledge, the on-the-ground information that you have. From that perspective, do you think that it is the right thing to do now to send troops into Mexico to combat the cartels?
Well, you know, I don't know what the plan is to actually stop them. I mean, you know, they care about money more than they care about anything else. So obviously financial repercussions will be coming to the cartels. But as far as sending troops, that's a decision that the president's going to have to make, you know, after consulting with his people, his senior advisors. But would I support something like that? I support an end to the cartels.
Who do you think President-elect Trump should pick to lead the Department of Homeland Security, and why?
There are so many good people out there that we know could be really effective. What we'd like to see is some people that we've had conversations with the president about. We don't want anybody that was in there previously that didn't get their voice until they retired or stepped out of public service. We want somebody that was in there that was fighting the entire time, that was fighting this nonsense from the administration. And there's some really, really good people out there.
All right, Paul Perez, Border Patrol Union Chief, appreciate your time tonight. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.